Right, so product life cycle. Why does product have a life? Many people would wonder, why exactly would a product have a lifetime? Well, because oftentimes products become obsolete. It's really actually based on the consumer and how much they are actually interested in a given product or a market. So it's largely determined by what you want and why you want it. Um, the stages of product life, there are four of them: introduction, growth stage, maturity, decline stage. Often a product will rotate through this, and at that point a product may die or become obsolete, at which point the company will have to then make a new product that will again go through this same stage. How are life cycles determined? Some products go through this life cycle much slower than others. Nowadays, the cycle tends to be much faster due to technological advancements that happen increasingly often, but largely it's determined based on profit and when it plateaus, declines, or grows. Introduction stage being the first stage of all four. It's when a company has to introduce a new product, most of the time into a new market that nobody's ever seen before, and it means they have to do a lot of advertising. The way they do this advertising depends on how many people they want to actually see their advertising and how successful they want their product to be. Like I said before, it includes a ton of advertising. They're breaking into a new market nobody has ever seen before and introducing a product nobody's ever seen before. So they need to provide value to their consumer. And as a result, they tend to need to do a lot of advertising, expose their product, get as many eyes on it as possible. A good example of this, or a way to do this, would be to put it on the side of a blimp. Whereas Goodyear obviously is an older company, and the Goodyear blimp is an icon at this point and doesn't matter. That would be a great way to do it. Or with the iPad, they were the first tablet. They needed to run a successful marketing campaign to appeal to consumers. However, the example that I think best fits this would be the Nintendo Wii. It was the first time motion controls were ever going to be used for a home console, and they needed to market it very well to appeal to people that had been using analog controllers forever. So they marketed it in a very successful way back in 2006 and 2007, and as a result, it became one of the most successful consoles in history. Growth stage. This stage is the one that comes after introduction. It is the second stage out of the four, but it determines when product sales start to increase and other competitors start to notice and break into your market. What happens in this stage? Competition arises. Usually a little bit of price reduction comes as well to then make your product more appealing as opposed to the competitors that are now within your same market. Much like the Kool-Aid Man, you break into a new market, you're breaking through a wall. You've got to market for growth. You've got to build your brand through advertising. Make sure you sell as much as possible, and again, lower prices due to that new competition. An example of this was pistachios. A while back, started a very successful marketing campaign to try and differentiate themselves from competition in a relatively stale market, but the idea is kind of similar. However, the example I'm going to use this to then contrast again with the Wii would be the Xbox Kinect, which then broke into the motion controls as well with the Xbox Kinect. It wasn't quite as successful as the Wii, however, it did show that Microsoft was making an attempt to challenge Nintendo in that flourishing market, which at the time Nintendo had the monopoly. Maturity stage, this is when products tend to stale, or this can make or break the longevity of a product, where profits tend to decline and sales tend to plateau. So competition tends to also saturate the market. So it's really important to start to increase the variety of your product, add accessories, add customization, add personalization, give all these different things or options for your consumer to differentiate yourselves from the now large amount of competition that is within your market. That's kind of what happens. Marketing for maturity is you have to show that your product is different from your competitors. Show that it is new. So show that there's new things to it. It's things that people can do, updates, software updates, hardware updates, new accessories, all these different things. Again, going back to the Wii example, the Wii remote used for the Wii had a ton of different accessories that you could use with it. For every one Wii remote you had, there were 20 different accessories that you could use. Kinect, PlayStation Move, the Sony and Microsoft's alternatives didn't have these, and that's why the Wii was more successful. Decline stage, this is ultimately what a product goes through, is eventually it reaches the end of its life cycle, something causes it to become obsolete, or eventually its appeal just wears off to the consumer, and the company has to try and squeeze as much profit out of their declining product as possible before possibly moving on to a new market. What happens in this stage? Product becomes obsolete, as said before. It slowly just kind of declines. Profits decrease, sales decrease, and eventually company just has to make a decision to stop producing that given product. Marketing for decline, usually there's not a lot of advertising, if any, at this point. Your product is past its prime. Maybe there's a way you can take pieces of your product and advance it into a new project. For example, Wii Remote was then still available for the Wii U when it was released later after the Wii had effectively stopped being made. However, the example that everyone uses for this would be VHS to DVD. DVD basically did everything that VHS did, but it just did it better. And as a result, VHS just became obsolete as everyone started to purchase a DVD player and watch videos at home, movies at home in higher quality with easier storage due to the smaller disk space. Most people would wonder, why is all of this helpful? Why should you and I know about this? Well, knowing what specific stage a product is in helps us know when to purchase a given product. It helps us get the most worth from our money, knowing when to purchase in a given time a specific product to get the most value for us and increase longevity of the product we purchase. But that's mostly